All right, hello. So for my curriculum analysis, I decided to look at Amplify and specifically their science curriculum. Just a quick overview of the curriculum. So Amplify is a science curriculum that we use at schools in San Francisco Unified School District. I pulled a couple quotes from their website, but it's described as a phenomena-based science curriculum for elementary schools, but it's heavily focused on compelling hands-on investigations, print resources, and digital modeling tools and simulations. It's all project-based. It's set up into units that culminate into this project, and students create this over the course of like a month or like, I don't know, however many weeks it takes to get through them. And for these units, students either take on the role of an engineer or a scientist, and they work on the engineering process or the scientific process, which is building, testing, rebuilding, and improving their projects as they learn more. I wanted to include just a couple of resources to show what it's all about, but Amplify has a at-home hybrid model. All of the curriculum comes with science notebooks for the students to write in, supplemental reading books that are directly related to what the students are learning. And then a big part is the online simulation programs that it uses to help model for students like concepts that are too big. And of course, there's like a ton of principal resources for teachers, vocab charts, all that kind of stuff. I included just if it's gonna work, a video of an overview of what Amplify is all about. It looks like it's not gonna work, but it's on my slide, so you can look at it later. Um, okay, so diving right into the analysis, I wanted to start with the questioning analysis that was provided on iLearn. So the 5 questions are used questions that encourage thinking and reasoning. This I scored an 8 out of 10. I think Amplify does this really well. I'll go into that later. Questions are developed and asked in ways that include everyone. I put that in as like a 5 out of 10. It needs some work. The curriculum allows for students to have time to think, a 6 out of 10. I'll go into that. Student verbal responses are not judged, also a 6 out of 10. But then student responses are followed up with ways that encourage deeper thinking. I gave that an 8 out of 10 as well. Okay, so the reasoning that I did this for the first question, I think Amplify does a great job in phrasing the unit question, and then it has everything within the unit is like so cohesive and tied directly into that unit question and unit project. So I think students are really able to learn and draw upon those skills and just go like above and beyond with it. So that's why I scored it so high. But on the other hand, for the second question, I think it doesn't include everybody in a way because the curriculum requires a lot of prior knowledge and like any science curriculum, like relating that to things that students know so that they can better understand it. But it doesn't provide this, so making that into a real world example that kids can relate to, also in an equitable way that is culturally responsive, is not totally developed. So I scored it a 5 out of 10. For number 3, there's time for students to respond. I think, well, a complaint that I've heard a lot about Amplify is that it's very, very dense and has lots of material. So to get through it all, the pace has to be like super duper fast and things have to be cut just realistically to get through the units. And so the teachers that I've worked with and how I've seen it taught is that like the questions are usually pretty quick and repetitive, so teachers go through them pretty quickly. For the fourth questions, I scored a 6 out of 10 on having not as much judgment. I think it could be better because the questions are put onto the slides, which the teachers that I've seen using Amplify, they use the slides, go off of it, and the teacher needs to take the student's answers and relate them in any way to like build up the student if they're wrong. But doing that is hard because the questions and the answers are clearly stated afterwards. So I just think that that could be improved in a way. And finally, for the fifth questions, I think that the questions and concept are very interconnected, and because they build upon the idea, the main unit question so well, this allows students to further their knowledge and create deeper meaning. So, an 8 out of 10. Okay, so moving into the cognitive demand analysis. So I think Amplify is very high level demand. It's focused completely on concept based learning and big picture learning processes. So I think that's awesome. There's no memorization. Um, It's all project-based, all building, engineering process. So I think it does a really great job there. Um, the completing tasks and activities portion of this analysis, I think it's real Amplify's great at having students self-monitor their projects because they're constantly adjusting and testing as quote unquote engineers. It also uses that student's prior knowledge, like I just talked about, to understand the relationships. And then, so when that's used in an effective way, I think that's super great and it completes that portion of this analysis. There's no tests within the curriculum. It's just, I've only seen it done where there's an assessment at the beginning and then an oral assessment at the end where students describe their projects and why they created them. So it's not like stressful time test memorization, just regurgitating information. It's different, and I think that's awesome. Um, Also, the curriculum is very repetitive, and students complete models after being shown very like clear examples. But I think this is beneficial for ELL students and solidifying like ideas. So I put this as that it was still a high level demand analysis. Okay, so the analysis of the curriculum itself. So the first portion was the curriculum illustrates the specified standard cluster domain or conceptual category. I included an example, it's kind of hard to see right now, but of how the units are broken up into exactly the NGSS standards and everything's clearly stated, and especially in the teacher resource online portal in the book, it's all stated like very, very clearly. So I think it does this awesome. Um, so the second portion of this analysis is the context of the curriculum supports the purpose of the tasks. Like I've said before, just kind of quickly, is that the curriculum is totally supportive of the activities. The cohesiveness of Amplify is like insane. It's awesome. Um, so this is an example from a class I was teaching in where a student was using all the materials that are mentioned on the slide, which is down below. It's the same things for the entire unit, and then in the journal, which he has like right under his arm, they're listing the same things. There's the same chart, so it's all cohesive, super awesome. So next, the context of the curriculum supports the purpose of the. Oh wait, this is the same one. This is important. I wanted to note that the curriculum does relate to the purpose of the tasks given, but it doesn't expand past the standards, concepts, and tasks. So the cultural aspect and culturally responsive curriculum, I think it needs some developing. Um, it's on the teacher to figure out how to make these lessons culturally responsive. And I think it shouldn't be that way because of how detailed the lesson plans that Amplify gives are. Um, but again, the teacher can easily do that. But I think Amplify should work on that for sure. Okay, so the next portion is the curriculum shows diagrams, pictures, etc. that have a clear pedagogical purpose. I hate that word. Um, but I included some examples where it's like this is the journal on the left, the slides, or the journal on the left has the diagram the kids are filling out. The slides have interactive things that you move and you place things into charts, pictures, diagrams. There's so many supplemental things that all have clear meaning. So awesome there. Like I said before, also the curriculum is explicitly aligned with NGSS standards. So it's aligned. I would think Amplify is totally aligned with the standards and reflects its mission of moving away from the memorization aspect of traditional science learning, and it's more towards the active engagement. So where the students are engineers and they're working on their project, and this works with the science and engineering practices portion of NGSS. Also, the units for each grade level include the DCI aspects of NGSS, and the materials and resources teachers receive help to tackle the more like challenging out there concepts for kids, like the pattern scales and system models, by having so many resources and simulations and books and reading that the students are able to use. Lastly, the curriculum's purpose is clearly stated in the commentary and is likely to be fulfilled. I included Amplify's purpose statement down here. We took it right from the website. So I think that because of the number of resources and clearly very detailed lesson plans that Amplify provides, I think it's absolutely reasonable to expect teachers to hit all of the NGSS standards, cross-cutting concepts, all that good stuff. Um, However, because Amplify depends on the use of laptops and out-of-pocket supplemental supplies, I have a problem with Amplify and its equitability because of this aspect. Um, in order to be fulfilled, you need this technology and laptops and teachers paying for other supplies. And so lower income schools or schools with fewer resources can't access this curriculum, in my opinion. And it perpetuates the education debt that we've touched on in this class, where students of color and marginalized communities are given smaller or systematically given fewer resources and low quality curriculum. So the accessibility of Amplify is not quite there yet. It seems like only it's definitely something that's only possible if you have the means to do it. And that's not a reality for so many schools. And so that's where I struggle with the equitability aspect. Okay, so how it relates to the focus question, the overarching question we've had: what type of SMART does the curricula encourage and support, and what does it leave out? So I think Amplify is awesome in having problem solving, creatively thinking, strong social skills, all these 21st century like relevant skills that students need to learn in order to be successful. Um, Amplify hits all of those and encourages that kind of smartness, quote unquote, for students. Um, Again, though, I very strongly believe that what there are no smart students. It's just students who are have fewer obstacles in their way of succeeding and being able to learn. And so I don't know how Amplify it's on its way to doing this, but because of um, the amount of resources and the technology aspect and the needing a laptop, I think this lack of accessibility doesn't promote all smart students, quote unquote smart students, because of how it leaves out so many who can't access this. And that's it. Here are my references. And yeah, overall, I think Amplify is awesome. So much good material. It's very 21st century skill oriented, but the equitability aspect is something that really needs to be worked on overall.